Professional. Welcome back to UK Nat 2024. My name is Baram Wu. I am joined by the exquisite AnarchoMushroom.
Good morning. Is it morning?
I don't think it is still.
Good afternoon. Morning somewhere.
We're here to watch some Netrunner, and this game here we have a player with possibly the most awesome name, Awesome Darren. And they are going to be playing against Mallory. We have Epithany versus Sable.
Fascinating.
What are we expecting to see here? What are you expecting to see here?
So I have done some dabbling with Epiphany, but I'm doing mainly sort of a very bad CTM impression out of Epiphany. But I know people are very big on king making, stoke the embers, this kind of tricky fast advance kind of shenanigans. Holloman, obviously a great addition for Epiphany, letting you enable these whole install from deck, score out a 4-2, then score out like a 3-1 or something. It's very very tricksy, but very, very fun. I love seeing these offbeat, underrepresented IDs.
Yeah, and Epiphany really has, especially with Stoke the Embers, has this ability to kind of fast advance out much faster than you'd expect, and for much less credits than you were thinking was gonna
Absolutely,
happen.
yeah. I've seen these decks on JNet a bunch, and yeah, you think that you're in a position where you're like, oh well, they can't fast advance out anything of major significance, and then all of a sudden they've scored 3 points in one turn. You're like, okay, well now I am in a bit of trouble here.
And the kind of the often additional click which they can sometimes get through the sort of Epiphany nonsense by getting additional counters with Hollow Man sometimes means that they can install an extra thing, be that like an Amani Sinai or
Yes.
a powers that be. And I think is that just an immediate post-truth
Post-truth event.
score?
Yeah.
Wow, we are
All right.
flying off to the races here. We also see an off-world in hand, so there's definitely that's probably planning on being Hollow Man or maybe some other form of fast advance out.
Mallory also on Sable. Sable, a very, very fun ID. Very hard to tell what they're doing until, it's not clear. Are they going to be on deep dive? Are they going to be on sort of a reg, info bounty, crim game plan,
Twinning kind of
twinning with companions?
option.
Or it could be, fingers crossed, it could be a very spicy Jatinho,
Amazing.
which I think would be very exciting on stream.
Shout out to Jam Sponge in chat. Not a Netrunner player, but their partner is here. So maybe we get to see them on stream. But thank you for joining us in chat. So Mallory playing a bunch of money events, it seems. Getting some accesses here. I think that's the mark is on HQ.
I think so. It's not super clear. But yeah, very simple turn. Just make some money, get your mark triggers, and yeah, group hero.
Early class act always feels like pretty good. Like this is doubling your draw essentially for the.
It's so important for the crim game plan, whether it's regular or whether it's combo. It's like so important to get that down nice and early.
Okay, we get to see a bit of a hand here. We definitely a Rashida going on there. I think that ice. Was it Eula?
Endless Eula.
Which I think has shown up in a couple of the Epiphany decks. We're attituding out some of the agendas. We did just draw into more agendas as well.
Okay,
so
listen, the deck is telling you what it wants to do, so I guess Darren's gonna have to get scoring.
yeah, I mean this is the slightly awkward thing with Epiphany is that Stoke the Embers is an amazing card until it ends up in HQ, and then it's the most awkward thing to deal with in the world. So you have to have ways of getting it back into either R&D or maybe even into archives, and then sort of
spin it back,
or restoring it or something along those lines. Yeah. Oh, it's Eden that's Jam Sponge's partner. Yeah,
lovely.
Definitely, they're gonna smash it out. We'll see them in top card tomorrow for sure.
Absolutely.
So we see a couple of cards spammed out on the table here. Usual Epiphany game plan. You want to put stuff out which the runner wants to trash because then you get those very valuable Epiphany counters.
Absolutely, yeah. It would be interesting to see. I'd love to see if this Epiphany deck is on wage workers, because obviously these asset decks love wage workers. But in my experience, wage workers is actually quite awkward with Epiphany because you'd want to. It can be very hard to get maximum wage workers value outside of or in Epiphany because you have this ID ability that you want to obviously maximize as much as possible.
Very true. If you want a disgusting story, I heard that someone during the last round managed to get a wage workers click from trashing free resources with the basic action card.
I love you, whoever you are. You are my favorite. I hope you do well.
Yeah, that is achievement unlocked, I believe. Okay, we're checking these remotes. Rashida, I'm pretty sure that one's going down.
That one has to go.
Definitely not letting Rashida live. Interesting that there wasn't that wasn't iced up, but I guess
Yeah, I mean,
maybe you want to save that ice for centrals. Like against
Yes.
Sable, you really want to shut down a lot of the kind of nonsense that Sable can do.
absolutely. And, Curapir is not a terrible breaker, but in the face of an Endless Eula, it gets very, very awkward very, very quickly. And it can definitely slow down their deep dive or even just their regular value game plan.
Absolutely. Now we're going to have to distinguish what some of these cards are. I'm assuming that first one with the counters on it is a daily cast,
I think this one is
yeah, and then probably an Earthrise.
I think
right?
this is an Earthrise. I think I saw full credits leave when this hit the table.
Yes, and those are the amount of counters I would expect to be on both Earthrise Hotel and Daily Cast. Mallory makes a lot of its own alt arts, so I would imagine that these are Mallory specials. We're seeing the Gaslight pop for a restore here.
What are you restoring back in?
I think you're not restoring yet, but I think you want the restore for doing shenanigans with agendas, potentially also with Hollow Man, because restore installs. Oh, that's hard. Directly from the bin, which means that you bypass both the Hollow Man restriction of not installing from HQ and also the Stoke the Embers restriction of not installing from HQ.
These Epiphany gamers are next level in their card choices.
I have one of my friends from the Bristol Meta is here rocking Epiphany today, and I've played against his Epiphany many times, so I've got a bit of a knack for what's happening there.
What's going on?
Okay, we've got a mark rolled on R&D this turn. Do we poke at this point? Don't know.
I feel like you're pretty safe, and yeah,
With
Mallory.
a bravado, you will.
With a bravado, you are very happy, especially with the corp on 5 credits.
Yep.
Not a lot that they can res that's properly annoying. I guess an F2P would be maybe the worst, but then they're on no credits, and I think you're pretty happy with that as a criminal.
Like, probably the worst thing here just would be a ping, really. But
Yeah.
ironically, you don't really want to give Kurapira a ton of counters if you're also planning on taxing them out with an endless Eula.
Yeah, didn't see what we got off the top of R&D there, but obviously not trashable. Not that Mallory would have been able to trash it anyway, but yeah, I think it was just a piece of ice, I think. And yeah, no clear indication. I'm trying to get a look at Mallory's hand to see if it's any indication on what kind of.
Well, that's something. We haven't seen any influence yet. That's the main giveaway. We haven't seen any diesels, nukers, anything like that.
But I think now the jig is up. The Swift backstitching is kind of leaning towards a combo-y, either deep dive or Jatinho game plan.
Yeah, I would have. I mean, I would assume deep dive, but like hype if we see a Jatinho kill on stream, that would definitely tick off a couple of boxes.
I know many people. Shout out to Not Again, probably the most prolific Jatinho enjoyer.
Absolutely.
Who would love to see a bit of Jatinho on stream.
Okay, predictive. Good cards. We're taking cards here. Oh, very nice. Like
that's a nice.
Predictive into the YDL is going to feel like pretty good money wise.
And the spin 2 cleans up a kind of a clunky-ish looking hand.
Yeah.
So yeah, gonna get to bounce up to, I think, 3 or 4 million credits. I'm not quite certain.
Interestingly here, very slight misplay. Should have played the YDL before installing the card. Actually, losing out on a credit of value here, which is something.
Could be just a little. It's still early days. It's only round 3. People are still reminding themselves.
Yeah.
This is Netrunner. This is a complicated game.
YDL obviously is a money card which gets better the more cards you have in hand. So you always want to try and play it when you have as many in hand as possible.
Yes.
We've got Mark rolled on R&D. Quite a nice little mark dice out. I think it's just got a 1, 2, and a 3 on it. Nice and clear.
Very simple. Yeah, I think Mallory, if it is on the deep dive or the Jatinho plan, I think you're happy just setting up here. The corp's not presenting any major threats
Yep.
at the minute, so Mallory very just happy to make money, set up for whatever their quest is going to be.
Yeah.
That's a
Mal Dragon. And
lucky charm.
Lucky charm. Well,
Love it.
we are very much in combo town here.
This is combo central. I'm loving this.
I'm a big fan of Lucky Charm. I was playing a Lucky Charm in Prognostic Arasana at a recent regionals. It did some real work. One time I just used it to get through a ping because I needed to, and that was enough.
Sometimes you have to.
Won me the game.
Yeah, no, Lucky Charm. I've been a big fan of that card in various crim lists and in non-crim lists over the years as well. A classic in Tag Messiah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, so here we see the spin rares, probably playing the YDL after this, and then we might just be discarding cards to kind of shape the hand a little bit.
Yeah,
after that, I would assume.
There is we're seeing the YDL now. I think quite a few cards. There's 7, it's like
6 or 7. Yeah, it looks like
7 in hand. And I think I saw Federal Fundraising as well, which
Yeah,
you can get that to
definitely.
stick on the board. That is so helpful, especially in a deck where you're looking to kind of sculpt, obviously, the top of R&D, very
Absolutely.
synergistic, but also just like find these pieces that you need to start scoring at these agendas.
Absolutely. Now we're going to see what gets discarded here. I would be discarding an agenda myself, but it looks like. Oh, I guess there's another click. Okay, right. My bad.
Of course, the spin started in play.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Absolutely. Leaving us with 5 in hand. I mean, if the one thing that is quite good, I guess, for awesome Darren right here is if Mallory is focused on deep dive. I look at the agendas already in HQ.
Yeah.
So
this is not going to be the most valuable deep dive.
Yeah, if Mallory isn't on something like a copulation or a legwork, then it could be a bit of a whiffy deep dive. But we'll find out.
And the agenda spread in these Epiphany sort of fast advanced decks is very awkward. It's a lot of 1-pointers. You've post-truth, Stoke is.
I think all the others are 2-pointers.
And the other 2-pointers.
Yeah, generally, I think we've seen either you play all 2-pointers and maybe hope to try and get a 3-point bill.
Yeah.
Or you're playing like 2 post-truths and then the rest are 2-pointers, which seems to be this version. Nicking a Stoke the Embers off an HQ run, Mess Manifesto res, and then immediately bypassed with the backstitching.
Mallory wanting to using its resources very aggressively.
Yeah.
Backstitching, in my experience, something you want to save for, say, your combo turn, but it looks
Maybe
like
this is a combo.
It looks like it could be a combo turn. We're about to see is it a fancy knife or is it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna get through here, I don't think, because
No.
Maldragon can bypass a piece of ice that is 3 strength or less. Oh, we are getting through here.
I love this.
Wow, this is aggressive.
This is gaming. We are gaming.
Serious stuff. That looks a bit like a wraparound to me, which is not a good card right now in terms of keeping them out. And we have a second agenda. I think here, if we run archives, I mean, then Mallory is going to really hope that they're on deep dive and not Jatinho, because we do see the deep dive.
Okay.
This could just be it. This could be it.
Is this game? There's a spare click, so this could very easily be game.
We're gonna potentially take 2 here. We see
ping. There's a 2-pointer. No way. Surely not. 1, 2, 3,
okay,
4, 5,
6.
2 more.
And that's game.
Game.
That is fast. I don't even know how long that game lasted. I think less than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe less than 4 or 5 turns.
Oh, wow.
Absolute aggressive play, knowing that they had everything they needed to get in, or could push for it. Like, assuming that actually on the credit total that Awesome Darren had, like, there's probably no ice that they can res that's going to stop them there.
I think
Like ping and wrap around, but we have a Kurapira out.
yeah, I think the
Oh,
main
we see an Oiler, but couldn't afford it to rescue
the
it.
Oiler. Yeah, I think it's a shame because I think that Oiler probably would have stopped the but of course there's the Mallet Dragon would have gotten through the
The
Eula.
Mal Dragon would have got Yola for one counter, one single power counter, which is kind of nutty.
Absurd.
That if we were seeing more Euler in the meta, then maybe that would be a really good reason to be seeing more of this card. Well, I mean, a quick game's a good game, apparently. You know,
Those players are going to get a nice 30-ish
Yeah.
minute break.
got a nice little bit of time off. Well,